Welcome to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show. The doctor is in the house. Do 2 affirmations and call me in the morning. Change your life one new thought at a time. Make your dreams come true. Attract that lasting, loving relationship, successful career, radiant health, and abundant wealth. Tune in to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show and learn positive ways to get what you want on www.contacttalkradio.com.
And welcome to the Dr. Anne Marie Evers Show, where dreams really can and do come true. And welcome to the wonderful world of affirmations, affirmation life tools, forgiveness, thoughts, mind power, creative visualization, and much, much more. I'm Dr. Anne Marie Evers, and I welcome every one of you to our Positive Thinking Affirmation Show. I've had the privilege of hosting this show for the past 16 years and continuing. And now, due to many requests asking for more information on how to create and write properly done affirmations, those ones that really, really work, especially during this uncertain time in the world today, COVID plus other viruses and all that. And it's important to have the powerful affirmation life tools to help us all with life as it is today. And folks, if you want to check out these life tools, just go to AnneMarieEvers.com, just simply my name, AnneMarieEvers.com, and just check out some of the short, very short, colorful, they're about 3 to 4 minutes videos talking about the affirmation life tools. So I'd love it if you would do that, because now it's time to learn how to create these simple ways, methods, strategies, etc., to help us and our families. This information is learning about and using master affirmations and short form affirmations that really work. It is also time to read about and view and listen to affirmation, the tools I just talked about on the videos. And we've added an important part of our show today to help you learn exactly what is an affirmation, how does it work, and especially how it can work wonders for you. Today we have a different format. My friend and colleague, Tracy Smith, will be our host, who will be interviewing me on the subject of affirmations. In fact, all about affirmations. We are doing this because of the many affirmation requests and questions that we are asked to explain. And we want to just tell everyone how affirmations do work. And you'll have access to the latest affirmation information and just everything you need to know about the process to make your dreams come true as Affirm. We look forward to receiving your questions.
Hello, loyal listeners, and thank you, Dr. Anne. I am super stoked that you have agreed to allow me to be your host so I can interview you for a change, to get your wonderful teachings about affirmations out to our listeners, especially during these really, really strange times. I believe, everyone can use proven techniques to lift us up positively and move us forward to better things in our lives. Folks, the one and most important thing that I want to share about myself with you is this. I am a strong believer in proving all things. So I know that when affirmations are properly done, they really do work because I have a great amount of proof. I have many successful affirmations, and I look forward to sharing them with you over the next few shows. A little bit about Anne. Dr. Anne has been doing affirmations for almost half of her life with great and wonderful results. She believes firmly in the power of properly done affirmations, and this is a part of what we will be sharing. Dr. Anne is a best-selling author of many books on the power of properly done affirmations. She is also a co-author of the book by the name of Wake Up and Live the Life You Love in Spirit with Dr. Deepak Chopra and the late Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Evers is an international motivational speaker and seasoned talk show host for like 16 years and continuing. She also lectures at the Lionsgate Hospital right here in North Vancouver for the past 5 years until, when the COVID happened and the programs were shut down. And has many affirmation books on Amazon, and is in the process of writing yet 2 other books. Can you believe that?
Yes. Yes.
I will be co-authoring the popular Spanish edition with Dr. Evers, and I am super excited about that as well. It is our plan to take it to Mexico and other Spanish-speaking countries thereafter. So let's get on with the show, Dr. Ann. This segment of the show is going to be on some questions and answers from our listeners, but I think Ann has something that she wants to share first with us. So what is an affirmation? And I have heard people refer to affirmations, Dr. Ann, as positive thinking, becoming happier and healthier, etc. Is that what an affirmation is all about?
It certainly is, Tracy. And, people ask me, like you say, what is an affirmation? And I've heard people refer to affirmations as positive thinking and becoming happier and happier. And you are correct. My explanation of what is an affirmation. Affirmations are similar to prayers, wishes, or goals, only they are more structured and specific. To affirm is to make firm, and simply put, the basis of all affirmations is positive thinking. When people say they have never done an affirmation, I simply ask them, did you ever have a birthday cake with candles and blow out the candles and make a wish?
Sure have.
Have you done that, Tracy?
Oh, yes, many times.
Well, then you've done an affirmation. It's as simple as that. And I think it's so wonderful because just think about it. We have the power to do that. And actually, Dr. Poulos, in forward in one of my books, Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness, says, and I repeat, since the beginning of recorded history, the power of the word has been acknowledged by mystics and shamans as a pathway to personal information. King Solomon acknowledged this by saying, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And 2,500 years ago, Buddha said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. In modern times, we call the power of the word affirmations.
Wow, that is very interesting information, Dr. Ann. Do you think that is energy from each of us?
Well, yes, I do. And this is how Dr. Lee continues to say. He says, these are bursts of electrical energy consciously directed into our brains to create a positive declaration of what we want to become or achieve. Every minute of our waking life, we are creating affirmations through our self-talk. Imagine that.
I know.
Yeah, at a rate of 150 to 300 words per minute of our waking life. We are creating affirmations through our self-talk at the rate of 150 to 300 words per minute, or between 45,000 to 51,000 thoughts per day. Think about the thoughts we have per day. That's interesting, isn't it?
That sure is, Dr. Ann. That is a lot of affirming going on worldwide.
And some of those thoughts, guess what, that we have perhaps are not what we want. They're not, the thoughts we have are the ones that we want, the positive ones,
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually, it's so true, and thoughts are so powerful. Everything is due to thoughts. That chair you're sitting on was a thought in someone's mind before it became an affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it is. And so, he continues, Dr. Lee Poulos, he continues saying, positive thought has been referred to as nutrition for the mind, like planting flowers in the garden of our subconscious mind, whereas a negative dialogue is similar to planting weeds. Thus, affirmations constitute positive, controlled, and goals for personal growth and fulfillment.
I love how he says it's like a garden planting flowers, because we all know that if you go out and take care of your garden in the way it needs to be taken positively, you have a great garden. But if you don't take care of it, you don't, affirm what it is that you're doing in a positive way, you don't have a nice garden.
Isn't that true? Yeah, that is so true. And Dr. Lee continues to say, I first met Anne-Marie many years ago when we were both part of a spiritual development and healing circle. And he says part of our work, and I remember that, included not only verbal, but also visual and emotional affirmations. Since then, Anne-Marie has written many books on the affirmations and goal setting to help thousands of people to realize their dreams. The purpose of affirmations is simple. You know what? It's very simple, Tracy. It's to re-educate and reprogram our subconscious mind with desired outcomes or goals. Isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful. It's a lot of work, but it is wonderful. The payback is tremendous.
Yes, effort in, effort out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and he also continues, Anne-Marie in her teachings provides a comprehensive, easy to follow, transforming destructive or limiting core beliefs. There are two ways of creating our reality. I love this. Two ways. We can create it by consciously programming what we want out of life, or by simply accepting what comes our way.
We don't want to do that.
No.
We don't want to do that.
Because we like to sit there and we're victims. This way we can be in control.
Exactly.
Yeah, and both work, he says, but only the former will ensure that you get what you want in life. Her teachings help put you in charge of your programming and consequently firmly in control of your life. As you use affirmations daily and consistently, you will be breathing breath into the future of your dreams. And that's by my friend, Dr. Lee Poulos, and it's L-E-E is the first name, and Poulos, P-U-L-O-S, and he is the author of The Power of Visualization and Mentally Fit Forever, and numerous other books and CDs, and he's a wealth of information.
And I love that title, Power of Visualization and Mentally Fit Forever. Mentally fit? Love that.
I love it too, yes. I told him that. I said, hey, that's good. And so we talked about that, and that was fun, yeah.
So, Dr. Ann, have you heard from people who have had success using your affirmation process, the Dr. Evers Affirmation Work Program?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. We were doing some cleaning out of files and doing that and looking at things, and I found over 1,000 testimonials on just one book alone.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and I have a couple that stand out in my mind, and one is a very personal one, and it was about my son David, and many years ago, my son David was born with two very, very crooked feet. They were so crooked that they just about touched his legs. And my husband Al and I owned a restaurant, and David would sit in the high chair for a part of the time as I worked in the restaurant. And I read about this lady who had great success with positive thinking to help her daughter with some of the same type of problem. And David would sit in the high chair and smile at people. And some customers would ask him about his feet. Some customer would ask me about his feet. And he would just sit there smiling all the time. And he was so cute and just smiling. People just fell in love with him, you know.
Just a happy little guy.
Yeah, really happy. And I didn't know he had crooked feet. He didn't know anything about that.
No, of course not.
Yeah. And I decided to do some positive, and we couldn't do financially what they wanted to get help because the doctor said it would cost thousands of dollars, and in those days it was like really, really thousands of dollars to have the surgery. And then, but he said also that we needed to get it done soon because there was an urgency. Because when you get too older than 7 or 8 months, it's really difficult to change. The time was kind of going by.
Oh,
so
my.
I felt desperate in a way, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to feel desperate. I'm going to start doing an affirmation prayer, which affirmations are similar to prayers, wishes, and goals. And this one is real structured and specific. And I said, my David now walks, and I did the whole affirmation, and to the good of all. I used the safety clause, the good of all parties concerned. And then I just kept doing it every day, and I'd look at him and say, you will walk, David. And he'd smile, and I'd smile back and say, yes, you're right. And we had fun with that. We carried on with that. And so one customer, his name was also David, he came in, and he asked me, what about David's feet? And so I told him he was born that way. And so he told me, so I told my story, and about 10 days or so later, he came to the restaurant and said, Mrs. Evers, I have some news for you. And I thought, well, why would he have some news for me? I didn't think, because he was a customer. I didn't know him. I knew his name was David. That was all. But he proceeded to tell me that he had spoken with an organization that was willing to help. I remember saying to him, I remember him saying to me, if you and your son can be ready next Monday morning around 10 a.m., Mr. Gauchi will come and drive you and your son to the Shriners Crippled Children's Hospital and get his feet fixed so he can walk. And I was in a state of shock. I remember saying to him, how much is it going to cost to get David's feet fixed? And I burst into tears, and he said, no, you don't understand. He said, there is no charge. They help crippled children. And if you're there, I've booked you in, and you can go and get that done. And I was so excited.
Oh, yeah. You must have been overwhelmed, too.
And Tracy, I get shivers in my legs when I tell you how that feeling was. And I thought, I'm dreaming this. This is not happening. You know how you have something happen. And I looked at David and said, guess what? You're going to get fixed. And he smiled. And then I thought, that's all I needed was his smile.
Yeah.
And as if, I know, Mom, you're doing all you can for me, is what I got out of that smile. And then I ask you, do I think affirmations work? Oh, my gosh. That was the very first one I did. And it worked, and I have never looked back. And, it was just so wonderful because he did walk, and the surgery did work. And he was skating one day, and he was about 14 at the time, and I was watching him, and I was just saying, thank you, and tears in my face, running down my cheeks. And this woman sat next to me, and she said, what are you crying for? I said, well, I'm not crying. I'm just grateful. And so I said, I'm watching my son skate. And she said, well, that's hard to believe, or something, some kind of a not very nice remark.
Right.
And I thought, well, lady, you don't know what I've been through, and I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
But I was so thrilled. And during that time, when I had to work, I had to really muster up courage, because even my mom said, poor Anne, she's lost it. That child will never walk. He'll live his life in a wheelchair. And when I heard her say that to someone, I said, cancel. That is not true. My son will walk normally. And guess what?
He did.
He did.
Wonderful.
And I must have repeated those words or affirmations hundreds of times. And each time my belief was that this could happen popped into my mind, together with other thoughts of how could this possibly work for you. So I decided just not to think about all the thoughts, just to say thank you, and trust in the power, trust in God that this was going to happen. And, it did. So I'm so happy to share that personal affirmation that happened so many years ago and changed my life completely. And now I became a real believer, because when that happens to your child, and you know what it's like, you have children.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. But imagine that, one person, I was only me though. No one else was doing it with me at that time, because I didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah, no kidding. Just winging it.
Yeah, I was winging it, yeah. And that was one that I really, it really stands out. And there's so many. But another one was about the story of, I call it the story of James, the musician. Now, James Harvey was a homeless young man living on the streets of Vancouver, BC, Canada, when one of his friends or people that were street people handed him a copy of my book, Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness. And he said, here, read this. It helped me. He says, here, read this book, pal. It may help you, or man, whatever they say. I don't know.
Right.
And he said, well, I wasn't really interested in reading a book. I had other things to think about. But then he said, well, I might as well. And he started reading the book. And he loved music. And as he read the book, he started using short form affirmations that were just like what he wanted. And he put them to music, and he listened to them many times daily. And at night when he couldn't sleep, he'd get up and do the affirmations. And sometimes he was on the street. Sometimes he found a place to stay for the night. Some organization took him in. Mm-hmm. He always had this beat up guitar, and he'd go and sing. And he was a beautiful singer too. And so miracles began to take place in his life. He affirmed a place to live with a good home, and also he affirmed a job and money so he could purchase good musical equipment. And he was totally amazed at the power of singing and repeating affirmations did, because someone came up and said to him, hey man, you want this guitar? And it was almost brand new.
Oh, wow.
He said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
And he was so happy, and he manifested a lot of this place to live with his kind gentleman, Richard Daddy Babs, and his daughter. And he was gifted, like I say, that new guitar. Mm-hmm. And then he got a job teaching children how to sing and sing short form affirmations and upbeat affirmations. And his results were fantastic. And wow, was he ever impressed and excited to tell everyone he meets.
Oh, I bet he did.
Everyone he would meet or met. Yeah, he was just so excited. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine, when you think about it, can you imagine, Tracy, taking a person from a street person and all that stuff happening to them? Can you imagine how it would affect their thoughts and brain power?
Oh, that would be just incredible to actually witness something like that, as you did. And not only that, but see them actually affect other lives, like children's lives with, music and affirmations. And that's just amazing to me.
Yes, it is to me, too. And one day he called me and he said, hello, Miss Evers. He says, my name is James Harvey, and you'll never believe my story. And I said, oh, yes, I will. I hear lots of stories all the time. So I said, let's meet at the White Spot restaurant and talk. He was delighted and did, and we met the next day, and he told me his story and how affirmations had given him all these things. And then he said, I'm so thankful to God. He said, I want to ask you a question. And he says, what can I do to give back to God and the universe for all the blessings I have? He said, and I'm so thankful for God placing your book in my hands at the time. He said, I was ready to give up. I was so discouraged, and now I want to help others. And I said, I was rather stunned, and I thought, wow, because I was teaching the power of properly done affirmations to those third graders in Kendall Elementary School in Washington State. And we needed a song with some upbeat words and music to complete the children's book.
Oh, my gosh, you're kidding.
Can you believe that?
Oh, wow.
It is so, and it just gives me shivers when I think about it, how that could have happened. And he is a delightful young man. And all I did for James was just, I said, can you do something with some positive words like love, caring, kindness, respect, peacefulness, consideration, and all positive words like that. And can you make a musical CD so that we can have it with the program? And he said, certainly I can. And he went out and he came back with this most wonderful CD. And it's for the children, and they just love it. And one of the most important things is that he gathered several of the homeless friends and asked them, imagine that, to sing with him.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So I said to him, well, you set them up, and you get somebody to record it for you, and I'll pay for it because we need it for our program. So that's what we did. And this is the Affirm and Learn Enhancement program for children. Became very popular and well known, and that's the name of the program we were working on. And the CD was played at the 98th celebration of International Newthon Alliance before 300 plus people in Arizona, and it was also played at the funeral service of Richard Daddy Babs that was the man where he moved in and lived with, became his father, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be so proud. Richard Daddy Babs would be so proud of James. And James was the son he never had. He always longed to have a son.
Oh.
And he came into his life, and I witnessed the love between them, and it was just so wonderful to witness this. I mean, really, when you think about it.
Wow, that is an incredible testimony, Dr. Ann. Really, truly, that is very incredible to go from, you know, your book getting into the hands of someone that is down and out, homeless on the street, and then taking, you know, some words from a book and flying, literally flying with it, all the way to, you know, you having a CD made, you know, in another country even, or for another country, using it in another country, the United States. I realize they're our neighbors, but, you know, doing that and it becoming popular and, you know, finding a man that, you know, tucks him under his wing and, you know, becomes a father figure to him. It's just incredible. That is just amazing to me. And all I can say is, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a life-changing testimony of how a person can make changes from reading and applying just one affirmation from your book, your affirmations book, your Passport to Happiness. So I'm just wondering if you can share a brief overview of the master affirmation that James did for his success.
I sure can. But just before I do that, I wanted to say I'm so proud of James and his friends. And this CD became very popular with parents, teachers, and social workers. And just to think of, to go from a homeless person to somebody who's teaching affirmations, living in a nice home, and he got lots of musical equipment that he said people just would say, do you need this, you need that? And I know even my husband, Reg, at the time, he had some equipment he didn't want, really good, and he said, I'm giving this to James. And I said, do you really want to? And he said, yes, I want to. So we drove out to where he was staying in Richard Daddy Babs and delivered the equipment to him. And this is like, where did Rich get the idea to do that? You know, all things work together. And
yes.
That's why together is very, very important.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that. Now, to your question about a sample affirmation, yes, I can sort of give the folks an idea what an affirmation is, how it looks. And so you get a piece of paper. I usually get an 8.5 by 11, and we write at the top, sample master affirmation. And at least this is what I do to give to people, and they fill it in. It's their affirmation.
Correct.
And, you know, I like to put a picture or maybe a sketch of what you want at the top, because that gives your mind something to focus upon, you know. And mind you, if you're doing an affirmation to, you know, request the partner in your life, a love partner, don't put a picture of the person that you want. Put it just a picture of someone you don't know and at all, you've never met. I took a page when I did it. I took a page out of a magazine that I had no idea who it was, and I said, someone that looks like him. And that's what I put at the top of right under Master Affirmation. So you take the sheet and you write Master Affirmation. You do a sketch or a picture of what you are desiring. And then he wrote, I, James, deserve and now have. And he said, money, a place to live, a career, musical equipment. And actually, he said, to the good of all parties concerned, because I taught him to say that, because that's the safety clause. Because when you say to the good of all parties concerned, your affirmations also are to your good, because you're part of the group. And then you put what you want there, and then always say thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we write the safety clause, like I said, is one of the most important things. And then you say to the good of all, like you said, and then thank you, and you date and sign it. Now, when you date and sign it, you use a pen. You treat it like a legal document, because it really is.
Yes, it is.
You know, think about when a person takes right to write, and be specific. Like, it's so important. That's what I wanted to say about being specific. It's very important. Like the lady that, when my associate Michael and I were teaching affirmations, she was doing affirmations. She was doing it very, religiously, repeatedly, and she showed us her affirmations. And she said, "Why don't you think this affirmation is not working? I've done everything." And Michael and I both looked at it. Michael said, "I don't know what to say." She said, she's used everything that we talk about. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I don't know." And as she was going out the door, guess what she said?
What did she say, Dr. Ann?
She said, "I really want that perfect part-time."
Oh.
And I called her back and I said, "What did you say, Louisa?" She said, "Well, I just said," she repeated it. I said, "Let me see your affirmation." And she pulls it out. I said, "Where is that written on your affirmation?" And she says, "It's not." And I said, "Well, every time that's not working, because every time you do your affirmations and say it, your conscious mind says, 'No, you don't, dummy. You want a part-time job where you don't have to work so hard, and
yes,
and you can relax more because you're retired.'" And so she did it. And would you believe, both Michael and I, it was my associate that worked with me at the time, both him and I just were so proud of her because she did it. And then she got a job working at a lawyer's office, and it was everything she asked for. They were fun people. They were happy. She got the money she wanted. It was just everything to the good of all parties concerned.
Oh, to the good of all. That is crucial and critical for it. Now, we are needing to take a little bit of a break, so we'll be right back.
Okay, we'll see you back.
When was the last time you read a book that has created a profound impact on your life? This book is touching deep into the hearts of readers worldwide and empowering people with new hope to conquer over a life of despair, loneliness, and sadness. This book is called Affirmations Your Passport to Happiness by Dr. Anne-Marie Evers. In this book, you'll learn the power of affirmations, creating visualization, goal setting, positive thinking, self-esteem, learn how to attract the perfect, lasting, successful career, relationship, and have optimal health. To order your copy, log on to www.affirmations-doctor.com or email Anne-Marie Evers at shore.ca and get your passport to happiness. Affirmations, Your Passport to Happiness, the book that's giving people positive control over their lives once again.
And welcome back, and we are here with Dr. Anne-Marie Evers, and we are discussing all about affirmations. And Dr. Anne, if you could just continue with explaining what sample master affirmation that James used in his success, that would be awesome.
Yes, and the one that Anne used that wanted a part-time career, that really worked for her too. Now, I just want to say something generally about affirmations. Your master affirmation checklist. I ask, is it to the good of all parties concerned? Safety clause. You ask yourself. Does it contain the 3 Ps? You know what the 3 Ps are? They are personal, positive, and present tense. Now, I don't suggest we do affirmations for others unless they're in agreement with it, because you don't order up that someone does something. You make sure that it's to the good of all, and then that's something that they want as well.
Right.
And then, so is it personal? Well, it has to be personal. Is it positive? Yes. And is it present tense? Yes. Don't say will. If you say will have, in my opinion, you put it off into the futures. Maybe it's a future lifetime. Who knows?
That's right.
So you don't say, you say now. And I know some schools have thought, say you should put dates, but I don't do that with my teachings because everything is happening in the now.
Mm-hmm. That is correct, yes.
If you put dates on it, what happens too? The date comes and it goes by, it doesn't happen, you lose your belief.
Exactly, yes, and that's happened to me numerous times. And since dropping doing that particular activity in my affirmations have been way more powerful and actually way more forthcoming. I love it.
Yes, and because, sometimes it works for some people. I know I don't want to criticize anyone's work, but I find that, I think every one of us, the teachers of affirmations, we find different ways to do things, because how does it work for us and our friends and our family, you know?
Right, exactly.
And then be specific. Say what you want. What do you want? Like I was telling the group about the lady that did an affirmation that she was driving a yellow convertible across Canada. And she came to me and said, well, I did, but she said, I drove a yellow convertible. My friend asked me if I would like to go on a trip with her, but she owned it, and but I didn't own the affirmation. I didn't own the whatever it was. And anyway, so she said, why did that happen? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, how did you say your affirmation? So she repeated it.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, I didn't own it. And I said, well, where in your affirmations, there's nowhere in the affirmations at all that says that you're an owner. So there again, we come back to the thing about being specific.
Right.
How important it is to be specific, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yes. If you want to own something, you have to say that you want to own it.
But the affirmation did manifest. Imagine driving a yellow convertible. That's asking for quite a bit.
It is. That is pretty specific in itself, but she could have got a little bit more specific.
She sure could have. So I say you need to be specific, and then, but she was thinking that maybe, but you need to put it in words, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I always tell people to make sure that they never, ever design anything to hurt or take from anyone. It must be to the good of all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I really like everyone to say thank you, thank you, thank you, at least 3 times. And then I asked them, did you date and sign your master affirmation? And is it colorful? Color wakes up and excites the subconscious mind. And I say, is it colorful? And, color is important because, if you're looking at something, a page that's black and white and a page that's in color, what does your eye go to?
Exactly. All those colors. And we all have specific colors that we like, and are attracted to. So that excites us even more.
That's so true. And, you can also have a witness, if they want. Now, some people like to have a witness. I've witnessed thousands of, over the years, of affirmations for people, but sometimes people don't. They want to keep it private, and it's up to the individual what they want to do. However, I would suggest you don't tell too many people when you start, when you start doing affirmations, because then they ask you, how's it coming? Oh, or they might say, oh, that wouldn't work. Like with me, when I was going to write another book, and somebody said, why do that? There's so many books out there on that anyway. You just cost money, and it's just, it's already out there, and you don't need that, and blah, blah. And I said, no, I'm not going to let this discourage me. I have things I want to say that are unique from me, and I'm going to do it.
Yes, and you're going to share your uniqueness with us in a different way.
Yes, and that's true. And people are so glad about the Affirmation Your Passport to Happiness. Get my words mixed up. And does it contain the words deserve? Deserve, you know what? That's a big word. You know
It is a big word. That's a very big and deep word for people to understand, because most of us, we don't feel like we deserve anything, and we've been programmed to think that asking for something and thinking we deserve it is taboo.
It's true, and it's very important. And I remember I was doing affirmations when I first started, and I remember I was kind of discouraged. They didn't seem to be working for me, and I thought that they worked for me for David, and why are they not working for me now? And I guess over the years I thought I didn't deserve it. So I went to bed that night and I said, please help me, tell me why this particular affirmation is not working. And that was the one, and it came back. I woke up in the morning with this word in my mind, and all I could see is this big word, deserve. I added the word deserve, and you know what? Within 3 days, I got my answer.
Oh, wow. 3 days.
Yeah.
Just from changing one word.
Yeah, because, see, I did it with David, and his happened so more easily for me because I was doing it for him, my son, and what the deserve one, I was looking for something personal, like a relationship. And you see the difference,
Yes.
And faith comes in, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. It's actually, it's crucial that you have faith, which is confidence. Confidence in what it is that you are seeking or asking for, from the universe, from God, or whatever it is that you're putting out there, it's critical that you have confidence.
Yes, it is. And really think about it and learn to love, respect, and approve of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the affirmations I teach people is to get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and say, hey, Jeannie or Johnny or whatever, you're a mighty fine person. And then say, I now love, respect, and approve of myself just the way I am. And you could add, too, I forgive myself, because all of us have so much I find that I do, and I know others do, have a hard time, really loving ourselves sometimes. We've been taught to maybe not to love ourselves, and I think it's important to love ourselves, because how can we love or respect ourselves if we can't do that? How can we expect others to?
Exactly. And Dr. Ann, I say that exact affirmation every day when I go into my washroom. Every day. Sometimes I say it a few times a day.
That's so good, because and look at yourself and say, you're a wonderful person. There's nothing wrong with that. Because if you don't think you're wonderful, no one is going to. But we don't say get puffed up and be going around saying you're so great. We're not saying that.
No.
We're just saying to get the energy in your body that you're somebody in this world, and you're here for a reason, and be happy and share it with others.
Exactly. And when you put positive energy into yourself, you just naturally exude positive energy out, to the next person. And if you're smiling or grinning or have a happy countenance, usually you get that back.
It's so right, because my niece and I, before COVID happened, we decided that we were going to go out and we were going to smile at 10 people and see how many smiled back. And we went out, and the first person didn't. I thought, well, that was not so good. And the second person kind of get a half a smile. And then we had 8 big smiles. So I said to my niece, I said, Kim, look, we got 8 big smiles back. So you see, and smile, my acronym for smile is simple message. I love everyone. And one lady said, I don't love everyone. I said, well, then change it. The simple message, I like everyone.
Yes, definitely. And going back to your little experiment there, you didn't get discouraged from, the first person or the second person not giving you that big, huge smile, and you just kept going. The energy just kept building, and finally you got all 8 smiles, all in a row.
Yeah, and that was very educational for her. I do all these things all the time.
Right, yes.
Sometimes they think their aunt's a little far out. Some of them believe. But that's okay. I'm happy with what I'm doing, and also I've got this wonderful children's program that we're talking about getting out there, aren't we?
Yes. I'm looking forward to that, Anne.
Yeah, and for years I taught affirmation programs to kids, and I was so excited to see how it was working. And even the class, the librarian called the teacher over and said, "What are you doing? Your class is so different, so respectful." And the teacher says, "Well, there's this lady, Dr. Anne-Marie Evers, that comes down from Canada, and teaches my class how to be kind and respectful and all these things, and many affirmation life tools." And so that was really amazing to think that a librarian would notice that.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And then we had lots of things happening. We taught them the affirmation life garden, and the affirmation garden. Yeah, it could be a life garden too, yeah. And so anyway, it was interesting. We were teaching them that, and then one little boy they had plants. We gave them plants, each one, and the plants were just like for that person, and they had their name on it. And one day I was sitting in the school, and I had sort of a partition between us, and he couldn't see me, but one little guy came in, and he went up to his plant, and I watched him, and he bent down, and he said, "I love you."
Oh, how precious.
And then he says, "Grow, little plant, grow."
Oh, my
And
God.
he did this every time. He'd slip in and do it real quick and out. So
Yes.
Yeah, it was so cute, because it really, really, I thought, well, if he can do that, we'll see what happens. And we were really watching the plants at the end of the project. And so anyway, whose was the biggest plant was his. His was the most healthy plant. His was.
Oh,
isn't that interesting?
Well, that is amazing. And, it is proven out there in plant world land that if you speak, to your plants or exude, energy, especially if you're going to do positive energy, that, it affects your plants positively. I always talk to my plants. I talk to them. I tell them I love them. And, I think they're beautiful. So it works.
It does, yes. And then one little guy, he got up and he said, "My name is Tommy," in class. And I was there, and he said, my name is Tommy, and I used to be the class bully. And he put his hands in his pocket, and he says, "But that was before I learned about affirmations and that ripple effect. And now I'm the class helper." And it was so cute because he was so serious.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the class helper, so he's helping people now instead of being the bully.
Oh, that's tremendous.
Yeah, and he's talking about the ripple effect. We taught the students how to, we put water in a basin, then we put a rock, and then we taught them the ripple effect. If you put the rock in, it stops the ripple effect, and then they put their hands in to stop it, and then if you see somebody trying to bully somebody else, you use that. So that was something that, who knows, that was a few years ago. They could still be using it today. We don't know.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm sure I know adults, use that particular example as well. I have a question, because I do remember reading one of your testimonies and from your kids program, and a lot of them are so, like, for me, jaw-dropping. My jaw drops when I read them, because these are testimonies coming from kids. And I think one was from Adrian, and made a comment, "This book rocks. I think they should have the affirmations book in all of the schools and libraries." Can you share a little bit about that one with us?
Oh, yes. This is a lovely young grade 7 student, and his mother said to me, could you possibly help Adrian? He's having a hard time, and he didn't love himself. That was the whole
thing.
Yeah. And so I said, well, I'll try. I said, I'll share with him what I know, and then we'll see what comes up from there. Because I didn't want to use any negative words, I didn't want to say the word "if," because I don't like the word "if." Because anyway, and so I talked to him, and what we did was we met in the restaurant, and his mother was there, and he says, "Mom, I'd like you to go. I want to talk to Anne-Marie by herself."
Oh.
And so then he told me he didn't love himself, and of course, whatever people tell me, it's confidential, and I don't even tell the mother unless it's something that she needs to know, but something, you know what I mean?
Yes. Detrimental, yes.
Yes. He said he was going to do something negative. Of course, I would tell her. But
yes.
Otherwise, I thought, well, he needs to have some privacy. Anyway, and it was so, he sat there, and he looked at me, and he was quite nervous, and he said, "Do you think I could ever amount to anything?"
Oh, my gosh.
I said, "What do you mean, amount to anything? You're a wonderful young man. Look at you, and you're in grade 7, and you're doing this." And he had a couple of things he was doing with his dad, projects like building, like a train set or whatever.
Oh.
And I said, "Look at you're working on that." And I said, "What would you like?" And he told me. We sat there for about an hour. Now, to spend an hour with a young grade 7 is kind of a lot of time, but he kept on talking. Finally, his mother said, "We have to go, Adrian. We have another appointment." And they left. But just to think of a little boy like that was so, I don't know, it was just so wonderful. I just felt that it was worth the whole program just talking with him,
Yes, just changing the life of one life, and a young life at that. And it's very sad that he felt that way about himself, that he, didn't love himself and didn't think that he could amount, to anything. It's quite horrible that, really, when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why I was happy that I was able to be the stopgap there to help him, to go through it. And now he's really wonderful. He's got a job. He respects himself. It's just really so wonderful to see the results.
Oh my goodness, that's quite the testimony to say, I helped him as a child, and now, he's older, and he's, still progressing and has taken those lessons and flown with them in his life.
That's true. And he had a little boy that came. His mother brought him to me personally, and she said, I'm having awful trouble with, he's very angry, and I don't know what to do. And I said, when he comes home from school, and she said, yes, but all the time, but mostly when he comes home from school. And so anyway, she left him. He said, I don't want to talk when you're here, Mom. So she left, went out to the other room, and I said to him, talked to him a little bit to get to know him, and say, and then I said to him, well, what do you feel like when you get angry? And so he told me, and I know that this little fellow loved gardening because his mother said he had his own little garden, and he used to go and, he planted these things. He watched them grow. And
yes.
So anyway, I thought, well, that's wonderful. So anyway, I said, why don't you do this? We'll call him Tommy. I say, Tommy, why don't you do this? When you're angry and you come home, why don't you just go to your beautiful little garden and find a spot that's not right in the garden, but out in that area, and just call it your personal place, your dumping place. And I said, what you do is then make a little hole, because they have a soft garden. You don't have to have a big hole, but they have the garden already. Just need to move some soil around.
Uh-huh.
So I said, and then just talk to it, and just talk to it, say, talk to this and say, I'm so mad at this, and I'm so mad at that, and just get, get really, I said, get really angry at that moment, and then put all that anger into that hole you've just made, and then say, thank you, thank you, thank you, and then cover it up, and then go on with your day. So he did that pretty well almost every day he came home when he was angry. And his mother said, it sure changed, because she said, how come you're in a good mood? He said, all my anger is in my dumping station.
Oh, my goodness. So he literally just blew all the angry words into the hole and then covered it up.
Yeah, and that worked so good, because he was and he just, and there again, I watched him grow up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
my. Oh, that's amazing. Well, Dr. Ann, we've got about 5 minutes left in this wonderful show of yours. So is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners, provide them with some information for how to reach you, or to, give them an idea as to what's happening, for the next show?
Okay, I know I'm limited in time here, but we're going to keep on doing shows like this, folks. And I just love every one of you. Keep the emails coming to AnnMarieEvers@shaw.ca. That's simply my name, AnnMarieEvers@shaw.ca. And tell us what you'd like to hear. And we're going to be doing a lot of questions and answers coming up. So please send your questions, and we will provide the answers on the next show. And we're so excited to do this. And I am so excited, because I know it's one way of teaching folks exactly how to make their dreams come true. And after all, that's what we all desire. And so we really loved it that you listened to the show today. Thank you very much. And we look forward to the next show and having another talk about everything. And we'd love to know what you need to hear, and we'll answer every question. Maybe not all immediately, but as we get them. And thank you, and God bless.
Well, if you have a problem and you don't know where to go, just dial up the internet and listen to the show. Tune in to Dr. Evers, she'll lift your spirits high. Her affirmations lead you from the darkness to the light. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, believe with all your soul. When properly done, they always work, you know. Oh, just say an affirmation. Love, health, and abundance beginning to show. Oh, just say an affirmation. Show your gratitude and the blessings will flow. Oh, just say an affirmation. Love, health, and abundance beginning to show. Oh, just say an affirmation. Show your gratitude and the blessings will flow.